Shoot.
Howdy, Sam.
Hey, good morning.
Hello.
Hi, Jeremy.
Good,
Hello, hello.
hello. Good morning.
Let me join me today. Join me today in
It's Monday, right?
how are you all today? Sam, how are you doing?
Oh.
Allergy season here, Sam.
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, good. I still get stuck on my on the refresh problem. Yeah. My add-on actually.
Hey Sam, I saw Bev, how are things going for you?
Pretty good. Busy.
It's great. How was your
Good.
presentation last night?
It was pretty good, actually. I followed up after Andy and Rosemary had a little presentation. So the idea was to get people into using JSON and the stuff in FileMaker that we have now, kind of anticipation to learning, so that when the new stuff comes out, it's not so scary. So just sort of played right into a little bit of what they said with a review of what I had been working on previous.
Are you finding that a lot of people are still scared about JavaScript, using JavaScript?
Well, I was just using JSON.
That's what I meant, yeah.
As a jumping off point, because I want people to get used to that, and then I said, you don't have to learn JavaScript, but if you want to work with JavaScript to do this or the add-ons or stuff like that, where you're actually doing charting and data tables, stuff like that, then you want to learn it. But I've got people at that point where they're saying, I don't even want to deal with JSON because it's scary. And so I'm trying to get them over that point. And if it's not scary, then, jumping into that next step of doing stuff in JavaScript, or, even when the MongoDB comes along, they're going to say, well, I don't have to deal with it because FileMaker's going to take care of it. But I'm not scared of the fact that it's using JSON now or BSON for storage. It's okay. You know what I mean? It's just because they didn't want to delve into it before. If we get them a little bit of, well, this is what it really looks like. This is kind of how it works. And this is what we've got now to work with it. And it's just going to be so much easier once they get the MongoDB stuff integrated in there.
Yeah. I wonder how much that, are we going to be looking at the Mongo interface? Are we going to be interacting with any of that? Or is it just going to?
It's all going to be ESS. And just in the previews that I've seen and some of the documentation that they've got out there will be a time when that studio, the form, you've seen the form builder, right?
Yep.
That creates the forms and then saves it to the Mongo. There's going to be a time when they jump that next level, and it's going to be pro code. And pro code is your favorite topic.
Yeah.
JavaScript. And so, because they're not there yet, I'm trying to give people a little heads up, and like you're trying to teach them this stuff. And if we get to that point there, where it's going to come out, they're going to say, well, I got to do pro code. I got to learn JavaScript. If we sort of get them in that hooked in now on the easy stuff, they're going to say, it's not scary. I can do this.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, that's what I'm,
Yeah, exactly.
it's everything that I talk about. So
Yep.
very good. And Sam, I saw that you in the soup area community released a couple add-ons.
Oh yeah.
You want to tell us about those? I'd like to.
Yeah. I'm not on soup, so
Uh, I've created 5 of them.
Ooh,
One color pick and day range picker and time picker and also a slider and finally just for fun uh just a pretty UI for the credit card input.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I could
is there a particular place in soup that those are listed?
I have put them on my GitHub account. I could share them here.
Yeah, please do put
Oh,
them in our community too. I'm sure people would love to see them. We should put in a space
okay.
for. I should make a space for like freebies and products or something like that. I don't know, something that allows people to post what they want to show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll do that. I'll do that. I almost need an assistant nowadays to help out with all this
Yeah.
stuff. But yeah, so very cool. Well, I don't know. I've got an interesting idea today. This will be fun. Bev, I noticed sometimes you sign up for the office hours and sometimes you don't. Is that the topic that interests you, or the just your schedule that you're able to contribute?
It's my schedule. I mean, my intent is to be here, you know, more often, but it's just been when I've signed up and couldn't make it, then I said, really wanted to see the topic, but didn't make it. And
Mhm.
like you've got another one this afternoon, which is going to conflict with another meeting. So
Okay.
now that I kind of know your consistency here, then
Yeah.
it would be better for me to put it on the calendar to say, reminder, sign up for the office hours. And there are going to be topics that I'm going to want to see more
Yeah.
than others. But, pretty much I want to see what's being presented, and I can build off of that for some of the stuff I'm doing to, again, hook people in an easy way.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to be consistent, and this is good content for my YouTube channel that I'm trying to grow,
Yeah.
where people can watch these afterwards. And I don't get millions of views yet, but maybe eventually. It's a pretty niche thing that I'm doing, but trying to expand it out and so forth. So, Sam, did I show you my website last week? I don't remember if I did that. I don't know because I don't. Did we meet last week?
Did you mean you use you build your website using Next.js, and
Yeah,
for the back end you are using FileMaker and send a
yeah,
request to update your schedule.
yeah. I showed that to
Oh,
you.
yeah,
Okay,
you showed that to me and Dawn.
that's right, Don. Yeah, I'm gonna just briefly show Bev because this is probably the most fun I've had recently doing something in FileMaker because it's I'm trying to build out a training course. I'm trying to make it so that people understand what we're going to be talking about. Oh, Don is joining us. And so I'll make this quick since most of us are here who did this last week. But Bev, I am transitioning my website to pretty much anything that is content like this stuff right here.
Right.
Or, oh, that's interesting. That's a bug. Or the actual topics that we're going to learn. I'm transitioning that to coming from FileMaker. So
yeah.
So this is
you're pushing out as static pages.
Exactly. Yeah. This is
awesome.
This is using Next.js. It's using Vercel. It's
Yeah.
using, and I used to have to do this in the code base, and I was like, this is
Yeah.
awful, because
Yeah.
if I want to change something, like I'm adding some key points, like some key takeaways for each piece of content,
Yeah.
and I want to be able to push that to the site. Yes, I have to go into the site and write some more code to display the information, but at least the
Yeah.
content that changes
Yeah.
more often gets updated. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun.
And it's a
God.
good method for people that want semi-dynamic,
Yep.
but not really dynamic, because you're creating static content. It's just
Exactly.
easy to update.
Exactly.
And that's a very good method that I've been promoting since, 20 plus more years of. I did a lot of sites that way, where I had it in a database and it pushed it out. So it's not like the WordPress, which is database content, but it's all dynamic,
Uh-huh.
and it's harder to deal with. But what you're doing is you're getting it curated, ready to go, pushing it up there to where it
Yeah.
changes. But it doesn't need to be dynamic in that portion. People don't need to,
Exactly.
search on a list and get just a smaller list of stuff.
And it to me, it's just it's doing what FileMaker can do, right? It's
Right.
allowing me to organize the records and add data and then push it. It's a content management system. And then I'm using a insert from URL. I am having to deal with authentication and using the data API, and so I have to deal with that. But
that's okay.
Yeah, that's not actually too difficult to handle.
Right.
Let's see here. Someone just pinged me about coming today. I should actually come with a there we go. Okay. All right. So some other people may join us here. Sweet. Thank you. Thanks, Sam, for the add-on. I will look at those. But anyway, this is a lot of fun. It's inspiring me to continue to work on my course and to, provide documentation and just provide better.
Yeah.
And so anyway,
and like I said, it's a really good example for people to see that this doesn't have to be difficult, and this doesn't have to be complex. And this, it's like, if you can do this kind of thing, then it's a very easy way to get content to the web without having to do the really, really complex stuff.
What I have here, so one last thing I'll show is I have different training groups going, and each session has its own, like this is a join table between my content and the particular training group. And so I can, for a particular day, like today is the 18th. Do I have one for today? Let's see, what is this? This is binge group 3. Yeah. So I can copy this, I can get the content, and then I can paste the array of the information of these pieces of these topics into the agenda in the community, so that people can then read through. It's a little bit weird, the community doesn't have an API that I could push to. I wish it did.
Right.
But this is better than nothing, and it saves me a lot of time, because I can just do a copy and then paste it into a post here in the community. So
yeah, exactly.
There you go. So yeah. Hey, Caitlin, welcome.
Hello. I just got the email, so I thought I would join, but I have already gone to bed, so I don't know if I'll stay for the whole session.
It's 1 p.m. there, you said.
No, it's 11 p.m.
Oh, 11 p.m. Okay, I missed that. All right. Well, don't worry about it. I mean, yeah, stay as long as you can. This is being recorded, and I'll post it up onto the page kind of in a public way, in a public place, so that anybody can read it and watch through it. So anyway, Chris Ippolite and I are going to do a podcast on my workings with the data API, because I've had nothing, I've done nothing with the data API
Yeah,
until this. So,
yeah.
so,
I've used mostly the Execute FileMaker
Yep.
data API.
Yep.
Just because I don't have servers like I used to, but
Hey,
if you get into it, it's not too bad.
right. Hey, Matthias, welcome.
And then the
Hi there.
OData method is supposed to be a little better, so.
Yeah. Hey there, how's it going? I haven't seen you for a while. How are you doing?
Yeah, true. I'm good. Weather is great here, so which is always a plus.
Okay.
Plus, I have the time today, so
You had what? You had the time today.
yeah. Currently, my office is out of power, so
Oh.
there's a power outage, quite a big one. So I'm working from home again, and
When you work from home, you can join us, right?
yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right, well, good. Well, I'm glad I pinged everybody and you were able to join us. I am starting to I am recording these and I'm starting to post these on my YouTube channel. So if you can't catch them, I hope that these office hours are sort of an exploration. I have an idea of what I want to do today, but I am not going to, it's not going to be perfect. And I think we're going to just stumble over it together. But it allows me to kind of prep something for like an actual instruction video here on my web on the YouTube channel, so that I can be a little bit more coherent in a explainer video. So anyway, I think the purpose of what I would like to do today, and Don, did I say hi to you? I don't remember if I did. Hi, Don.
Yes.
Okay. That's right. So I think what I've been doing recently in the JavaScript training sessions, I work with people and we spend the first 4 hours or so working with C3 library to generate a chart. Here's a chart in the development environment, and I really just copied the text, copied the code from the getting started part of it. I have added a couple things because I wanted to start a little bit further than just the basic getting started. But the whole I've been rolling around this in my head. You know, there's always a disquiet in my mind about doing the trainings, because there's, you know, I could introduce people to the C3 chart library and we could get into it, and then I have to stop at some point because I could spend 20 hours on this library alone, right? And so I want to get people want to get people into it, but I can't spend all my time on it. So actually this topic came about because Caitlin pinged me about something and made me think about this. At some point we have to move on. What I worked with the people is, we're going to just take this data that comes in the getting started guide, and we're going to put it into FileMaker and learn how to bring this data from FileMaker into the JavaScript via the FileMaker function, a script step that does that. That's great. The problem is I left it open, saying you have to figure out how to work with this data. You have to figure out how to do this data, because this is summary data, right? A chart, for that matter, just like the FileMaker chart object, needs some numbers to plot, and it needs something along the x-axis, and it needs to know which ones are which. It can't handle, C3 and many other JavaScript libraries can't handle raw data. It needs the summary data right away. So the problem is that when you have a table where you're recording your sales data for a particular product, you don't have any sort of summary right here. Of course, we are FileMaker developers, and we could easily build a summary. And I might actually advocate for that most of the time, because I think I've said this many times in the forums. a summary table is a great way to summarize the data. And since August of 2021 is long gone, you're not that quantity isn't going to change. The amount of bananas that you sold on this particular day isn't going to change. And in fact, all of August, it's very possible that, it's very unlikely that any of this data, these 299 sales of different products in August of last year, is going to change. So I could summarize this. I could build a summary table that has one record per product for each month and for each year that my business is going. Does anybody build summary tables in their systems when it comes to quantity data, or does anybody build summary tables?
I do for specific sales statistics,
Okay.
but what I was doing that chart for, I don't.
Okay, that's cool. Anybody else build?
I do for a number of things that
Okay.
it's, basically all static data. It's never going to change. 'Cause
Right.
it's data I actually get out of other systems that once I have it, it's what it is.
Okay. And those, Matthias, how about you? Do you build any summary tables?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have the details, but then we save. We are working with hours a lot,
Okay.
and when the hours are checked, we save those and we store those in a week by week table.
Okay. Okay.
So
A
we
week
don't
by
have to
week.
calculate it. Yeah, week by week, so we don't have to calculate them over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because you can export as a summary, sometimes I'll do that and just export that summary and re-import that
Oh.
summary into a table to where I don't have to do anything but export and import, and
Mhm.
it's static at that point.
And that's perfectly fine, because we're FileMaker developers. We can certainly
Oh,
handle it. But I thought I would try to summarize data on the fly based on what data is passed in at the moment into the chart. And so we're going to kind of stumble through that today, and we're going to see how this goes. I actually haven't done this for a couple of years. I haven't done a summary for C3, but I think we can do it. I think together we can work it out. So let's get back to the chart. The whole idea is to take this data. There's 3,200 records in here. It's just sample data for the year 2021, and it just shows what product was sold on which day and how many. And then, of course, we've got a month. We've got a month column. What I want to do is graph this by month. So logically, I could build a summary table in FileMaker that just summarizes for each product what the sales were. So it kind of replicates this. And what I would have is a summary table that basically has this piece of information. This is one record. By the way, Caitlin, this is not something we talked about in our training session, but you can certainly use JSON as a data source and then tell this charting here by the keys which values to plot on the graph.
Right.
So this is a lot easier when you're working with real data, because we have the execute data API script step that returns data as an array of records of JSON objects. So this represents a summary table. This represents a summary record inside of FileMaker. These are the summary information. This is just fake data. What I want to do is try to build this object for the sample data that I got from my FileMaker execute data API script step. So we're going to work through this. I've got the sales data in a separate file, and I'm going to export this variable. I'm going to export the value of this variable and the value of this variable out of this file, and I'm going to import it into here. So I can do a nice import. This is really nice that we can put a long piece of data. This is sample data. We can put it into a separate file, keep it separate, and then import it into our main file. We can access it. We can access it, but we don't need to be burdened by the length of that array while we do our other code or other work. So here's that object of 3,200 records, and there's lots more that just aren't visible on here. Very nice. Okay, actually, that's interesting. It's only showing 100. I have to look at that. Is this the right data? Let's see. Yeah, this is right data. Okay, so what we want to
The
do.
data API typically just gives 100 records back.
That's right. I
You have
forgot about
to-
that. Yeah, I'm going to fix that. You're right.
You have to increase the number.
Limit. You know what? I'm just going to stick with the 100 for now, and then we'll see how it goes from there. Okay. So the idea is that I take that data and I replicate this. I build a new array from this that summarizes the quantity sold, the quantity for each product in a particular month. So there's probably many peaches sold in April. And so what I want to do is have one object that says month of April, peaches 700 or whatever the case may be. All right. So we're going to have to work through this, and we're going to see if we can do this. I think the first thing I need to do, I'm thinking about this, because the x-axis along here is the months. We want them in the correct order. I'm going to go ahead and create an array of, I should have done this before. I'll just start with that. My AI is helping me. January, Feb. So I want these to be in the right order. If I was using I could consider using a time series. I think Caitlin, you did that. You're using a time series on your x-axis, and then it will automatically put it into the right order. But I'm just going to go with this now. These are categories.
And in fact, I discovered one handy benefit of that was my my resulting stats actually were missing a couple of dates,
Okay.
and it allowed for that. It made space for that. So that was a handy extra benefit.
Great. Do you mind if I'm missing a T. Do you mind if I show them that video you sent me? Could I display that here?
Sure. Oh, the video I sent you a little while ago. Yeah,
Couple days
I
ago.
haven't sent you the one from this morning, but yep, sure.
So this is what Caitlin was doing after our training session. I think she had a really good teacher. So, but she has a chart up here of data per day. And then let's see what it does.
So you can see the missing date there, but I like the fact it left a space for it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's neat. So that's just absolutely beautiful. She's using start and end to update the top. And then when she clicks on one of the days, she gets a breakdown of that particular, and then you're changing the days down there as well. Very cool. Love that. Okay, so I'm trying to summarize this data. I've got an array of the months, and I have to use the full name because that's the month name that's in here. And so the whole idea is that I'm going to use some JavaScript to reconstruct, to create a new object, a new array of objects that looks like this. Okay, so you're all going to have to help me out, but here's what I want it to final object. this is what I want it to look like when I'm done. I want month as a key and one of the months in there. And then I want for each product, we're going to have to see what the products are. Maybe I'll just start with peaches for now, because I know there's peaches in there. And then we'll put a number in there. And then I don't need the quotes. I'm not sure why I'm doing that. Apples. And let's see, bananas. We'll just stick with those three for now, because I know that they're in the data set. Okay, so this is what I want it to look like when I'm finished for each month of the year. So there should be an array of 12 items. Okay, so let me think through this. Here's what I have to do. And I have to do it in this order too. So the first record, yeah, it has to be that. Okay. So I think I'm going to start with the months. I've got the months in an array. And so I'm going to use an array method to handle this. And I'm going to do a map method. The map method loops over this array and applies a function to each of the elements in the array and then creates a new array. So I actually have to put this into a variable const. I don't know, object equals months.map. Okay, so the months is going to do that. Help me out if I'm just going to think out loud here. So I may think incorrectly, and if you know what I need to do that's better, let me know. Just shout
Because
it out.
you had the word month in your previous const, do you have to use that? Or are you using the months from constant above?
Yeah, I'm using this variable here.
Okay,
Yep. Where
For
did you
that
see the
variable.
months?
well, right where you're, right above that where it says final object, you've got month. Should that be month or months?
Oh, you're right. It's 1 month at a time. So
Okay,
this object is going to have January as the month, and then another element, February, and so forth.
and is that because that's what the chart expects, is that word month? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
see it. Okay, got it.
And
Thanks.
the only reason it expects it is because I told it that the X key is
Yeah,
the month
yeah.
key there,
I
right?
just was a little confused where you're pulling things. I got it
Okay,
now.
okay.
Okay, thanks.
So here's what I need to do. I need to go through this January. Oh my gosh, this is going to be tough. And I need to find all the records that have a month of January. And then I need to take all of those and count up the total per product. Dear God, this is going to be tough. Let's see if we can do this. All right, so we're going to just start. We're going to take 1 month at a time. So we've got, this is, whenever I use my map, the map function method in JavaScript, my variable is always plural. And this function here is going to take one element at a time into this function. In fact, I'll just write the word function. I'll just make it clear. And it's going to do something to that function. Actually, it's telling me kind of what I want to do already. All right, so let's actually see what this does. And then I'm going to console log the object. So let's see what that does. So this is going to just take the month in and put it into this property here. And then everything else is 0. I love it because I wrote a sample object up here. My GitHub Copilot is assuming that's what I'm going to actually do in my function. So let's see. All right, so I've got an array, and that's start of exactly what I want, right? That will be what I eventually plot on the calendar, on the chart. Great. Okay, so again, the map function is applying this function, and it's just every time it returns something, it's returning this object, and it's just appending that to this object variable. in an array format. All right. So let's see here. All right. So I want to start with a month. This is nice, but I'm not ready to do that. I'm not ready to return it. What I need to do is I need to go get any records for this month equals, and I'm going to do a filter function here. So I'm going to start with the initial sales data, and I'm going to do a filter method. I'm going to pass in here another function that takes in one record at a time. So now I'm applying this to this data over here through the sales data variable. And what I want to do is I want to look and see if this object has the path field data dot month that matches the month in question. Please stop me if you don't understand, and I will try to explain better, but I'm also, thinking through this myself. So, all right, so I first want to do that. Actually, let me think, do I have to do this? I'm not sure that I have to do this. I could, I'm going to just try this. That's fine. Okay, so I want to return any records in the sales data where record dot field data dot month equals the month in question. Okay. And then I'm not going to console log that. Instead, I'm going to console records for this month.
Jeremy, where did field data come from?
The field data is the path in here.
Okay. Oh,
So-
okay, right.
Right, and because that came from the execute data API scripts, that's how it returns its
Right.
data.
Okay.
Cool, good question. All right, so let's run that, see what we can do there. Okay, actually it did it already. So for the first month, it returned 11 records because those 11 records have January in them. The next month, it returned 8 for February. Great. And so forth. Very nice. Okay, so I'm on the path. Because the reason I'm doing this is because I've just decided to isolate the June month records and then go through and add those up. Okay. All right. So I've returned the records for this month. Now I need to think about what am I going to do with those records? What do I need to do with these? Once I get all of the June records, I need to look to the quantity and add those up, right? But the way to do that is only to do that when the product is equal to the same product that I want to work with, peaches, apples, or bananas. So how do I do this? Let's see. Okay, I've got the records. I've got 11 records. They have different products. That array has different products. Actually, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to FileMaker. I'm going to grab this. I think I can just, I don't know exactly how this works to copy it, but create a new file. Yeah.
This makes me feel much better, Jeremy, that I used execute SQL. Glad to see it wasn't that I was avoiding doing something simple.
Okay, that's I guess that's okay. No, that's fine. That's good that you chose to do that. Yes.
I was thinking the same thing, or using JSON ADA, JSONADA,
Yeah.
which is also a great tool to create summaries of JSON data.
Oh yeah, I could bring that in. I'm going to try to, let's see here. This is the field data. I'm going to just remove everything but the field data. So I'm going to go back to my code base and do return. Actually, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do const. No, I can't do that. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do records equals And then I'm gonna just create a new object called formatted object equals records for this month dot map. One record at a time, and I'm going to return e dot field data. That's all I want to return. All right, so let's see what that looks like. Oh, twice I'm using the word.
Should you not return the object in line 22?
Line 22.
There's no return in front of it.
Oh, yeah, right. There's no return. That's right. I thought I needed to remove the return, but it didn't. So, all right. Oh, Steve. Sorry, Steve. Hey, Steve. All right. So this is better. So I just removed all the junk that wasn't FileMaker or wasn't the actual array. So now I have just an array of 8 records in this case that represent the fields, the month of February. Hi, Steve. Sorry to keep you out for a little while. I don't know how long you were in, but okay. So now I have to take this formatted object. I'm going to create a new one called, I can use final object because actually I can't. Can I? No, I don't know why it's telling me that. I don't know what the name of this variable is. This is summed object. Interesting. It's telling me I can use the reduce function. I think I'm going to just try it a different way. So I'm going to take the formatted object. I'm going to apply a map function to it. I'm going to pass in one item at a time from the separated months. So remember, this is the separated months. That's the separated months. Let's see. I don't know if there's a way. I can't remember if there's a way to copy this. I wish there was a way to copy path to property. I'm just going to copy this, and I don't think that's going to work, but let's try. Yeah, that kind of, is that right? No. Oh, well, this is a good way for me to see what it's supposed to look like. So this is what it's looking like. So I've got just the month of January. And what I want to do is I want to sum up. I want to take this record and I want to apply the quantity. I want to add the quantity to the key where the product is bananas. Okay. So let's try this. The reduce function might have been simpler, but I don't know it well enough to do it, so I can't. All right, so const sum object. I'm going to take one of them at a time, and I'm going to say, what I want to do, I really just need this stuff. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do const start object equals this, okay? And then I'm going to say, return, and then I'm going to say, let's see, const product equals e dot product, and then I'll do const quantity equals e dot quantity, and then I'm going to say return. I don't know if this is going to work. Actually, you know what? This needs to go outside here. Yeah, that needs to be a let. I'm going to say return. I'm going to say const sum equals, there it is, start object, the product, and plus the quantity. So here's what it's doing. Actually, I don't even need to do that. I can just say return, I think. So at the beginning, so when we're working with January, we're only working with January and we've got its 11 records. We create a new object from that formatted one, a new array technically. We pass in, we start with this. So every time we do a new month, we're starting with a blank object here of, actually, I'm just gonna put the month in there because it'll be easier. We start with a blank object or an object where it's the month. Who's this? Someone just entered. Hello, hello. Hello? Someone just entered, so I have to watch that. We start with the month at 0, and then this is going to, it's simply going to, is this the right one? I don't know if this is the right one. Is this correct? I'm not sure. I don't think this should be a for each. Send object. Yeah, I think that's right. So what this will do is it will take those 11 records that came in from the the January month. It will start over with a fresh object for that. And then for each of the 11 records, it's going to extract the quantity and the product. And then it's going to return. It's going to increase the value of one of these numbers based on what the product is. Does that make sense? I think I lost everybody. Did I lose everybody?
I'm here, Jeremy, but I'm gonna head off now because it's well past my bedtime.
Okay.
I'll catch up with the rest of the video once you post it.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you. So let's see. Let's do a console log and see what happens. So I think this might work. And I'm getting an undefined already. Oh, you know what? I don't need that. I do need to do start object. Okay, so that didn't work. Apples, bananas, peaches.
Maybe not for October.
Ah, good point. Maybe, yeah. Oh, it's 0 for all of them. That's interesting because it's not. Okay, so I just need to console log console.log product quantity. Okay, that's what I want. So here, I'm going to do this. Oh, you know what? Maybe I don't need this return. I just need to do this. I just need to increase the value. Start object, the product. So start object dot or the peaches. What am I doing wrong here? I don't think this is the right way.
Is it plus equal or something?
What?
Is it start object product plus equal quantity or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Let me think here. What am I doing here? This is so. Okay, let's do this. Console log start object dot product or okay, let's look at that. So, oh, it's 0. That's interesting. Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. because it's 0. I don't think this is the right thing to do, but this feels, we got a couple minutes left. What am I trying to do here? Start object. Equals, I'm just going to try something here. Okay, so that worked. Okay. Actually, now that I see it, apples, peaches, bananas, and grapes. All right, so it worked to put that in there. Why was quantity? Oh, maybe, oh, okay, duh. Sorry, let's try this. Ah, there we go. Okay, duh. So there, so now, so what I needed to do was update this key or the peaches with whatever was previously in there plus the quantity. All right. And now that I've got that, I basically have an array for that month. That's great. All right, so I don't like the word start, and it's fine. I'll just leave it alone for right now. All right, so for each, I'm doing that. And then what I want to do is return, I want to return, let's exit that line, and return start object. So that is right here. Okay, so now if I console log my object, oh yeah, look at that.
Very nice.
Look at that. Oh, shoot. Okay, now I can take my object and put it down here. Boom. And there we go. Something, cherries. Oh, that's because I have apples, bananas.
Peaches and grapes.
Actually, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do, I'm going to just grab the, so console, const keys equals object.keys, the first element of the array. Put that in there and then put that in there. Except for I'm going to get the month as one of them. No, there we go. Okay, very nice. So now I have, so now this is pretty dynamic. There's some weirdness with like maybe grapes is 0, maybe apples is 0. It looks like that might be okay. Yes, you're right, Sam. Thank you. Sam actually gave me a quicker way to write this. Start object product plus equals quantity. There we go. That does the same thing. It increments it a little bit faster. It takes the original and it adds the quantity to it. Thank you, Sam. That's right.
Does it even work faster or does it write faster?
It reads with less characters.
Oh, okay.
So that's all, I guess. It's just like, it's just, hey, I don't know. That's a good point. I think this is it's just more compact. I don't particularly care one way or the other, but it's more compact there. So very good. All right, so now we have that. So I could pass any, this is pretty cool because let's do all 3,200 records in my script workspace. I'm going to update the limit to 50,000. 50, 1, 2, 3, JSON number. NUMBER. All right, let's run that. Boom, boom. I'm just gonna grab the data manually. I might use what I teach in my in the JavaScript training course and actually load this data from FileMaker, but I didn't set that up in time. So, all right, so I'm going to pull out all of those. That's a lot more records. That's good. Put it over in my, don't need this anymore. Put it over in my sample data or sales data. And then as soon as I save this, boom, boom, after it's finished formatting, is this right? Yeah, this is right. Let's see how FileMaker handles that. Beautiful. Love it. I'm still getting zeros in weird places. It could very well be. I have no idea. So let's look at Peaches.
Yeah, I would say the data itself may be 0 for that particular.
Peaches in September. Is that Peaches, September? Huh. That's interesting. Peaches and apples. Okay, so I might have, that looks correct. Peaches. Oh, wait, is this? You know what, no, this is right. This is right, because it's just taking the product out. Peaches, why did Peaches not work? Why is that not? There's 386 peaches. What should it be again? It should, well, so this, I mean, this is a large number. There's something wrong. There's something wrong with my calculation because it's not adding up the quantity correctly. So how can I debug that?
Is the JavaScript object correct?
Is the JavaScript object
The sales data JS?
Sales data JS. Good question.
Because it's still not.
Good point. All right, let's try something. Export const sales data equals peaches. Let's try this again. I may have to go back to those 100 records and trace just the peaches. In fact, I made, yeah. It should be correct. I think it's just taking a long time. Let's go back to I'm going to go back to the 100. Feel free to drop off anytime. I'm going to stop at 10:15 because I want to try to get this, but I will have this working. Oops, that didn't help me. Go back to my 100 records. Export const sales data equals. No, we don't need that. There we go. Something feels off about that even. It's having troubles even formatting that. So April, peaches, quantity 23. So I should have April, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to only do, I don't know what what's, I don't know what's, I may have to, let me stop my server and see. Stop this, boom. Quit VS Code for a sec. Just let it refresh. And that's not going to work. Oh, wow. What happens? I'm not going to say that because it's fine. Okay, so let's open it back up. Sales data still. Here.
Yeah, I got another meeting. Thanks, Jared.
All right, thank you. Let's see how this handles it. Okay, that works better. I'll just copy this. Export const sales data equals, there we go. Okay. So there we go. I don't know why VS Code was freaking out about that.
Because this is not JSON. This is a JavaScript object.
That's correct. Well, it turned it into it because this is a JS file.
Yeah.
That's right. So it was JSON over here until I put it into this JS file. Okay. All right. So let's see if we can get this to work. Oh, we got to start with the server.
Shouldn't you just use the converted from JSON to a JS object?
It will.
It should do it automatically, but
It should, yeah. I don't know. So when I bring it into FileMaker, oh, I see what you're saying. Do the conversion. Well, because I mean it's JavaScript right here. It's ready to go as JavaScript because I pasted it into this JS file. If I were to bring it to from FileMaker, if I were to do this, then yes, I would have to do the conversion, the JSON.parse. But because I'm just using in a sample data file, it seems to have transferred to what I need it to be. Okay, so I'm going to take a couple more minutes at this. Peaches, there's not a reliable, the problem is that there's just not a reliable number, a number that's empty. Okay, there could be now because it's just 100 records. So I'm a little stuck here. So I'm taking the formatted object. And I'm applying for each. I'm passing in one at a time. It wasn't this that was the problem. Start object plus quantity equals. So I guess what I want to do is I want to do a console log start object product. And then I'm going to do a quantity here because I want to compare them. And then I think for the month, I'm going to keep this really short and just do January because there's one, yeah, there's a 0 for January. All right, so let's look at the console and see what popped up. Okay, so the first time the quantity was 0, the value was 10, the quantity was 10. So 0 to 10 is 100. Then it went back to, okay, so this undefined, does that mean 1, 2, 3, 4? Does that mean, so what am I doing? I'm doing the product. I'm doing the value of the product. I'm going to do this. If product equals apples. Console log that. Do product. Okay. That's interesting. Product. Do we have? Is there any time when product is not empty? Why is this not? Okay, so we have bananas, peaches, pears, bananas, grapes, peaches. Okay, okay, so in this case, there are 0 apples. Okay.
Maybe you miss pears in
What?
the, maybe you miss pears in your start object. Is
I missed I misspelled the word apples.
oh no, I mean pears.
Pears. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We could put pears in there. Good call. All right. I mean, the problem is because I'm not using the 100 records. Here, I'm going to do this one more thing in here. Query dot, actually, I don't need this. I could just remove that. I'll do query dot, is it month? It's capital M, right? Month is January. All right. Save that. Now I'm just going to pull the January data. Put that into my sales data. Watch it crash again. Oh, that's fine. Okay, so there we go. We got sales data for just January. And now now there's apples in there. Oh my God, this is.
Could be that those are not in the first 100.
You're right. Yeah. That's interesting that it just pulls whatever. Okay, so we started with apples 0 and then 28. The next time we saw an apples, we did apples 28 was from the previous and then 2. So then 28 plus 2 is 30. There were 74 in the next batch. That's 104 plus and then 24. Okay, so this looks correct. I can't see how this addition is incorrect. 469, 475, 42. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so
Even if it's just January and it's 5 products, and if there's sales data for 5 products for each day in January, you're exceeding like 150 already.
yeah,
So using 100 is, I think, the issue here.
okay, you're probably right. Yeah, because I'm getting 100 records. I don't actually know what 100 records it gives. Does it do it by
You can
record
sort.
creation?
You can sort in the data API, but
Does it sort? I think it only sorts the found set once you get the found set. So it's going to pull 100 records. We don't know which records it's going to pull. And then it will sort it, but I don't know how to tell FileMaker through the data API, I want the first 100 records, right? And you're right, that's a good point, because these record IDs, like this is record 4, record 17, record 21. So it is in creation order, it looks like. Yeah, record ID 52. So it looks like it starts from the first 100 record or the first. So I could do, I mean, I guess I could compare by going to my data sets and unsorting them, finding January and apples. That's 58, and then just adding these up. But these actually look correct, right? We saw those numbers. We saw those numbers in the, so you're right. I think so we have 0 to 28, that's correct. Then 2, then 74, then 24, then 15, 100. Okay, 42, 93, 91, 6, 7, 572, 6, 7, 5, 72. Okay, so I am correctly adding these up because every number, well, am I? 72, 86, 35, 22, 73, 19, 65, 43, 23, 7. It stopped. Oh, that's because, yeah, you're right. Because, okay, that's all the records we got for that. So, okay. Interesting. Well, actually, I could do, let's see, I don't know what I'm trying to do here, but I think this feels correct. I would just need to go and just do some testing to make sure. But this long function here, and yeah, it's big and long and unfortunate, but it allows me to reconstruct the data as I need for this particular library, for this particular, it needs a JSON object. So I'm constructing the JSON object using this. And I think once I get this, I think you were talking about execute SQL. I might still use that, but I'm kind of interested in trying this as well to see if I can get this to do it, because then I don't know why I would do it this way. I think it's going to be faster. But yeah, it's just another way of working with the data. So I guess that's it for today. Does anybody have any thoughts or questions on this?
No, I really like this.
Did you enjoy me stumbling all over the place?
Yeah, because you learn from falling and getting up again. That's so, and I really liked you using different techniques to get it done.
Okay.
Usually my first take would use execute SQL, but we all know that's not the most efficient way in FileMaker.
Yeah.
But then again, I would most likely use the JSONata to get it done.
Yep.
It's really fast. I integrated it into a simple web viewer off screen, and I could just post anything out of it.
Yeah, because you could construct this same object with JSONata, right? And
Yeah.
it could sum it up much faster than this. Okay.
Oh, it's JavaScript, so it will not generally be a lot faster, but
As far as writing it, right?
Yeah.
Because you construct the query and then you just return that query, the value of the query in a variable, and you're off to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a JSONata file around here somewhere. I will.
I have one as well. With your tool, with your framework, or however.
Oh,
you
you
call
did
it.
the Java
Yeah.
the development environment. Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do have some issues with the development environment right now.
No,
It's not-
there's no issues. What issues do you have?
It's not building correctly.
Hmm.
So if I would run build upload,
Yep.
that's not working for me right now. Not sure why, but there's in the dist folder, there's a pre-built file.
Yep.
So I just copy that and put it in my solution. And for now that works.
Why don't we talk later today, or I know, it's getting later for you, but I've got to
For
run.
me, it's still early.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, let's talk later today. Ping me through the community and we'll see if we can get that fixed. It may be, yeah, let's see if we can get it fixed. So, but
Yeah, for now I can work with it.
Got it.
It's cool. But
well, then ping me sometime in the near future and we'll get that
Yeah.
fixed. So, all right. Well, thanks everyone for joining me. Hugo and Steve, welcome. I've not seen you around, but
Hi there, Jeremy. Sorry, I just found your post in LinkedIn when you were already halfway through your session. I hadn't come across you before, so I was pretty excited to join you, and it would be nice to talk at length sometime.
Are you a FileMaker developer, JavaScript developer?
FileMaker developer, so I have a partner company, but actually just entirely coincidentally, I was looking into getting more deeply into JavaScript. Myself, maybe just for helping managing people in the product. So yeah, I saw your, if you don't mind me asking briefly, it might be relevant to everyone. You have the courses, you have the $800 courses. There are like 2 courses that you have coming up with a name which has binge in the name. And then there are 2 other courses which are called something different, but is the content the same?
It is. So that's a good point. The binge groups are just a silly name that I called it because we spend 3 hours a day on it. Yeah. These are going to be the same thing as well, 3 hours, but I'm actually, I've actually gotten feedback. Maybe 3 hours is a little bit too long. Maybe I'm going to try other ones. Maybe the July one, or if 3 hours doesn't work for you, then maybe we could look at a different time. But yeah, it's all the same content. I just start over every time for the people who show up.
But sorry, the binge group 4, for example, and the June JS in FM, is there any difference between them? Or you've just decided to use a new name, yes?
Yeah, just a new name. You're right. I should do, I just like the alliteration here. So June JS and FM, 9 to 12 on these 4 dates. So
okay, thank you. What's the best way to reach you, to try and arrange a call to ask you any questions, and maybe to ask you to do any consulting work at all?
Yeah.
Give any advice?
You can go to my main website and I've got a button right there. It says schedule chat and we can talk. My email is also jeremy@integratingmagic.io. So, and I'm also in the community. So a lot of those places you can see me there. Did you join our community?
I think I successfully signed up. And have I got your email address right there in the chat?
That's correct. Cool.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Sam. It's called JSONATA. JSONATA. And Kevin Frank and I did a sample file about it a while back. So you can check that out. And maybe Matthias can show us in another time when he has to work from home, he can show us all about JSONATA. So.
Okay.
All right.
The question, Jeremy, might be relevant to everyone.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Just on the, sorry to interrupt you, Sam, if I did. Just on this example you're working through, Jeremy. Sorry, I obviously caught half of it. What method are you using to pull the data? Were you at any point here pulling data using FileMaker's API from a FileMaker server, or it was all locally through without the server?
It's all sample data for right now, so I just put it into a separate file. But I teach people in the course how to load data into the web viewer with that perform JavaScript in a web viewer script step.
Yes.
We do that all the time in our training. So it's the execute data API script step and the perform. I'm not using it in this example, but this step right here will allow us to pass data into the web viewer, into the JavaScript from FileMaker.
Okay, so I heard people, I don't know what context you guys were talking about speed, but a few months ago, I tested out for the first time FileMaker's API, and it was giving data back to us far faster remotely on server than we could get locally native by
Okay.
any other method in FileMaker. So yeah, it's very nice if people are interested in testing it out.
Okay, very cool.
Thank
Well,
you very much.
Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you being here, and Steve as well. Thanks for joining me. And
You're welcome. Sorry I joined late.
well, I'm doing this again at 3 o'clock. I will stumble over it again at 3 o'clock. Actually, I might try a different method at 3 o'clock Eastern time. So I do this every Wednesday now, and I try to get into a very specific JavaScript and FileMaker topic here. So please join me when you can.
Thank you.
Have a good day, everyone. It's great to see you all here. I'll be sure and advertise this more so more people come. Have a good day, all.
All right, bye-bye.
Good
Bye,
stuff,
Matthias.
Jeremy. Thanks.
Good to see you.
Bye-bye.